All right, Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor be to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai, by Hashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to my elders and apostles of great millstone, which are the men that rule well and who taught us his truth. Peace, blessings, and salutations as always be unto the elect of the nation of Israel. All right. And today's lesson is titled, Lord willing, will be titled UFOs, UAPs, the invasion will come. And the inspiration came from this video, this short clip. One of these YouTube shorts. I'm gonna play it real quick. See if it'll restart. Let me just open it in the YouTube app real quick.
With all these UAP, UFO, weaponizing space, it makes me wonder, what is out there that we don't know? If there is something out there and it does happen to be a threat to our world, I don't think we're gonna get very far as we are now, where we're all fighting each other and we're enemies. We're gonna have to unite eventually, if that stuff is what some people think it might be.
When human beings are threatened as a whole, that pyramid disappears. If there's some kind of invasion, extraplanetary, extraterrestrial invasion of Earth, the whole concept of state disappears.
So, you saw the clip. Man, there's so much to touch on just in that short clip, because for one, you got, and it's always Esau, man. Esau saying that, the so-called white man. He's always, if there's an alien invasion, we all have to unite. The hate has to stop, We would unite against a common enemy, All these, because, you hear the news, you hear these different things of the, so-called UFOs, so-called unidentified aerial phenomenons, right? They're unexplained things when the whole time it's in your very Bible, believe it or not. I know to me it was a foreign concept when I first came to the truth, but, through faith, growing and your knowledge and understanding of the scriptures and what the scriptures is talking about, you realize, hey, that's what that's talking about, man. Them chariots of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. It would have to be that, and they're spoken about in the scriptures, man. All right, and I'm going to get the scriptures on that, okay? Because what? They said, if they come, then we'll unite. If they didn't call it the chariots, if the UFO or something extraterrestrial comes, we'll unite to fight against it, right? That's their whole thing about it. Every single Edomite says that. I remember even years ago, before I knew about the chariots, whenever Edomites will talk about that, they always bring up the topic anyway. They'd say, I can't wait till that happens so that racism can end and so that we could all just be united. And it's like, well, the truth is that, the one who's gonna come through on them chariots, on the big chariot, and on different chariots coming, the so-called UFOs, is gonna be who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. It's unbelievable. To these people, it's gonna be unbelievable because, for one, they're gonna realize that they really messed up. Even those which pierced him, like it says in Revelations, the 1st chapter. All right. But nonetheless, the invasion will come. It's just not aliens, There's not aliens inside of those vehicles, man. It's, it's angels, so-called black men. That's what they look like, right? So let me just go into it because I got a lot of scriptures. Well, it's not a lot. It's just a lot to read. A lot of verses. So, yes, and they will unite. That's the thing, Esau says that, yeah, he will. He will actually unite. All these different people are going to unite with him. Salakia. They're gonna, these different nations are gonna unite, and it's in the scriptures. Proverbs 3:33. The curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked, but he blesseth the habitation of the just. Now, what's one of those? Now, many sorrows are gonna overtake Esau, but what's the main? I don't want to say the main either, but what is the curse? What's an aspect of it? Zechariah the 5th chapter. Okay, because in Zechariah, which is his name in Hebrew, it speaks about the chariots, man. Okay, and we have to understand that. Okay, we have to read the scriptures and understand this, man. One thing that we have to remember is the scriptures say Jacob is the beginning of the world. Let me reword that because it's worded differently. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Okay, so the end of Esau, the so-called white man, is those chariots coming, because that invasion is not in vain. It's not something that he can beat. You see? Zechariah 5:1. Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. Now, I'm not going to completely break every single piece of this down. You can look up the breakdown on your own time. Just want to touch on the points, right? So that flying roll is talking about a chariot. Some are cigar-shaped. It looks like a roll, Some are, triangles. I've seen triangles. I've seen, most brothers see the circular ones. I remember seeing them. At first, I used to only see them at night, and it would be many lights and things like that. And you would think, well, maybe it wasn't a chariot. But then once you see them in the daytime, now that's a faith booster. When you see them moving around in the daytime, man, that's Yapa. Okay? It says, and he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then he said unto me, right, because Zechariah was seeing these chariots, and to 20 cubits, I believe it's very small measurements. To him, they looked small because he's looking at it from down here on earth, and back then you didn't see things in the sky other than stars and things like that. You didn't see planes and helicopters like today or balloons. So when you saw something in the sky that was moving the way the chariots do, man, best believe it was catching your attention. It says, then he said unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it. And who be stealing, man? Who's the thief? The thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and destroy, like it says in John 10:10, right? That's talking about Esau Edom, man. He is a thief. He has stolen our identity, our artifacts. All right, I just recently watched a video where one of the headdress of a Mayan chief, of an Aztec chief, Salakia, is in fucking, I think, Norway or something. Like, well, why do y'all have it? Come to find out, the conquistadors gifted it to them as if it was theirs to give. You see, he's the thief. They stole us as a people, as a nation, Judah, all the way down to Issachar, on the, when you know the sign, right? It says, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. I will bring it forth, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief. Yeah, that curse. What's the curse? Because when you read Zechariah, it speaks also about the missiles and the chariots, that the fire blast. Habakkuk, the 3rd chapter, speaks about it. And even 2nd Ezra, which I'm going to read, Lord willing, through Spirit, right? And it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into it, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, and it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof, right? Because America, it will be consumed by the thermonuclear destruction, but various parts of the earth as well. And the chariots are also going to be lighting things up, man. That concentrated fire, what people call laser beams, from the chariots. That's, and the tractor beam. Those things are spoken about in the scriptures when you read about the different blasts from the chariots. Those are things that they took from the scriptures and made movies from. That's why, see, that's the thing. You saw the movie first. That's why you get tripped up when we tell you it's in the Bible. You hear about us talking about concentrated fire and laser beams, and you'll be like, well, that was in World War Z. What are you talking about? That's from a movie. Well, the movie took it from the Bible. You see? Oh, wow, I already had John 10:10, and I quoted it. Yeah, John 10:10, the thief cometh not but for to steal and kill and to destroy. Right. That's what that's just, I brought that out because to prove the point of who the thief is. The house of the thief, The curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked. He's also known as the wicked, the thief, the devil. All right. Those are different code words for Esau, the so-called white man. All right, now I'm going to end it off in here, 2nd Ezra 13:5, because it speaks about, see, here's the thing, right? Yahweh Shai's second coming is detailed in various other parts of the scriptures, and it was always spoken about. If you're in the spirit to see it, you'll see that Yahweh Shai was spoken about in general throughout all the scriptures. Genesis 1:1 is about him, and I always mention it because it's important, and I care enough to mention our Lord, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, him being a very important person, man. An important power. 2 Ezra 13:5, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven, to subdue the man that came out of the sea. Now that sea is not talking about the literal sea, it's talking about the heavens, you know. When the scriptures speak about when the scriptures speak about the sky, all right, when heaven and earth was created, the word for heavens is shemayim, which means pertaining to water. The earth, the sky is made out of water. All right. It says, so yeah, it's talking about the subdue the man that came out of the sea or the sky, right? The heavens. So all these multitude of men is talking about, you know, when World War III happens and the multitudes of these different armies. They're going to try to subdue, all right, the Lord, but they're not going to, right? How do we know that? It says, but I beheld, and lo, he had graven himself a great mountain, which is talking about the chariot. It's also likened unto a mountain. Well, described as a mountain because it says, and flew upon it, and I'm going to explain that in a second. The best, because a lot of times you get tripped up because you see the word mountain, and you're like, what does he mean? He's on top of a mountain? No. You see, it says, but I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. Right. So first, let me quickly break down the part of the mountain. So the best way to describe it, and the way that I realized what the scripture meant, was I remember I live here in, I was traveling here in the Virginia area. For brothers that don't know where that's at, you can do your little Google search on images. But there's mountains in certain parts of VA. And when you drive on certain highways, you can see the mountains, right? But one thing that you notice about the mountains here is that you'll notice maybe like the peak of it or the mound of it, but you can't tell where the mountain actually begins or where it actually ends. It just, when you really take a good look at it, it's as if like when you see the chariot in or the so-called UFO in not I Am Legend, what's the other Will Smith movie, man? Independence Day. When you see it appear, you only see the front end of it. You can't really tell where it ends or where it begins. You can't tell where it ends on the sides or the length of it. That's how you got to picture it. You know, with a mountain, you can't really see. When you see it, you can only see the mound of a mountain, right? You can't really tell where it ends or anything until you're actually there. Even when you're on top of a mountain, you can't really see the end of it either, right? It says, that's what the verse 6 and 7 are talking about. Now, verse 8, it says, after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him, right? Like the Edomites talking about, oh yeah, we would stand together and fight. They are. It says it here. It says, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. So they were afraid, but still fought. All right? And like I heard a brother once say, you're going to yet durst lose as well, man. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, talking about Yahushua, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But I only saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempest. Right? That's the chariots, man. All right? Spitting out that concentrated fire for that ass, man. All right? It says, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight. Yeah, that multitude is Esau's fantasy of we have to unite if a foreign enemy tries to take over, right? Because for one, he took us, so he's the thief, so he knows he's guilty of that. And what else? He has to fight according to prophecy, and he will lose. It says, and Salakia lost my place. Verse 11 again, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude. Yeah, so that concentrated fire fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived. So meaning they were destroyed instantly, and you couldn't even tell that they were still there. They weren't there anymore, right? It says, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. Can you imagine seeing a multitude of these different nations' armies just gathered around, and then poof, just burnt up like that? Now that's scary. That's what Ezra said. when I saw this, I was afraid. And I'm afraid thinking about it when I'm reading it. And that's the spirit we got to be in. We got to look at it and fear. The Lord's going to destroy what people call world powers. He's going to destroy them. Yahweh Shai is going to destroy them with a blast of from a chariot. Think about that. That's heavy. All right? So yes, that invasion will come one day, Esau. Your fantasy will be fulfilled. The only difference is the fantasy where you dream about winning will not. Your loss is inevitable, which means there's no way to avoid it. All right? So the UFO, UAP, the invasion will come. I hope you're edified. Call Haloyim, Yahweh Shem El Shai, Ba'ashem Kakwadash. Double honors to my elders and apostles, a great millstone, which are the men that rule well and who taught us his truth. Peace, blessings, and salutations, as always, be unto the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom.